All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today for this Mindful Moments session. My name is Jean, and this week we will be talking about the mindful quality of compassion, specifically self-compassion. And so the basic format of these sessions is we'll be talking about our mindful quality and talking about specific ways in which we can use that mindful quality in our daily lives. And we'll have about a 5-minute mindful practice. And then at the very end, we'll have a discussion. So, as I said before, this week we'll be talking about the mindful quality of compassion. So, self-compassion means treating ourselves like we would treat a friend, with kindness, empathy, and understanding. So a lot of the times, talking about self-compassion is pretty easy, but it's a hard thing to do sometimes because there's always this, or sometimes there's this inner voice in our head, and sometimes it's criticizing us. So trying to embrace the voice in your head with objectivity and with compassion, it can help us in trying to calm our inner voice. And being objective can mean trying to look at the situation as if someone else was in that situation and you were looking from a distance. So you're being more objective, and sometimes that can help. And being mindful of what our voice is saying, our inner voice is saying to ourselves, and trying to change what it's saying if it's criticizing us through compassion. So a key part of calming our inner critic is having mindful, loving kindness phrases, like at the ready at the moment when we realize, oh, I'm criticizing myself, or my inner voice is criticizing myself, and trying to calm it by using phrases like, this is a difficult moment. Many people experience this. I am not alone. So trying to bring empathy to the situation and saying things like, may I be kind to myself? It helps us bring ourselves to self-compassion, being self-compassionate. And here are some of the other ways that I thought about that would help us be more self-compassionate in trying to calm our inner critic. So I'm sorry, is it Mr. or Miss Warren? Would you like to read the first point for us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Calming your inner critic. Make friends with the voice in your head.
All right, thank you. Thank you for reading that. So, making friends with the voice in your head. So, what we can do there is first is to notice how we're speaking to ourselves. the first step to kind of calming that critic is to notice when you're criticizing yourself, and then through compassion, trying to change that voice with the lens of self-compassion. And it may not be very easy at first, but if you repeatedly practice this, over time you'll see that it might change the way you relate to yourself, in being more self-compassionate and understanding for yourself. And another way to calm our inner critic is to use a physical calming gesture. So one gesture that I immediately think of would be maybe putting our hands on our hearts or anywhere that you feel comfortable with. And that helps us in bringing us to empathize with ourselves sometimes. It helps us to look at ourselves through a more compassionate lens. And also, another practice that we can do is self-compassion journaling. So getting in the habit of journaling, and specifically if we would like to write about the difficult things that happen in our day and trying to have the mindset of self-compassion. So now that we've talked about some of the ways that we can be more self-compassionate, we will begin our deep breaths. We'll take 3 deep breaths and then we'll have our 5-minute mindful practice. So taking 3 deep breaths, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. All right, enjoy. All right, now that we have finished our mindful practice, we will move on to the discussion questions. So, if you would like to think about any of your thoughts to these discussion questions. So, can you think of any more loving kindness phrases like the ones we talked about earlier? May you be kind to yourself, empathizing with yourself, and saying, this is a difficult situation and I'm not alone. So, can you maybe think of any more? Also, talking about what is self compassion and what is it not. And finally, are there any practices that you can think of that you think would help us to be more self compassionate to ourselves? So feel free if you have any thoughts to share with everyone. The sources that I use, so I just wanted to mention that. And finally, thank you so much for joining me today. It was really a pleasure to be able to host this for you guys. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you have a great week. Thank you.